In this video, we're going to look at writing equations of lines in slope-intercept form. Before we do that, there's a few review problems at the top of this worksheet. So go ahead and pause the video and try those. And then these are worked out to try to save a little bit of time, but we'll talk through them. So this first one, write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line. So you need to find the slope first. So we can do that by subtracting y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you get 5. And then the b, or the y-intercept, comes from this point because x is 0. So that means -2 must be the y-intercept. And then in your equation, y is y, m is 5, x is x, and b is -2. On number 2, you can graph by using this chart, and you can just pick x values, and your graph should look like this. Let's let you try that one on your own there too. Graph that one in slope-intercept form. The x you should always pick as 0. That gives you a y-intercept, which we like. And then from there, I just chose 1 and 2, but you could choose any values of x. Technically, you need at least 2 for a line. 3 is nice, but you only need 2. Here, this line has a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of 9. The 1 is the m in front of the x. And so you can go to the y-intercept, and that's your starting point when you graph, or your initial point, and then count up 1 over 1 because the slope is 1. So you count up 1, right 1, or you could also start at the y-intercept and count down 1 and left 1 because those two negatives are also positive. One thing to make sure on this is just look at the equation. Slope is positive, so your line should be going up. Slope is positive, so your line should be going up. 1/2 is smaller than 1, so if you compare the two slopes, this should be the steeper line, which is kind of interesting. And then the last one at the top there, that's kind of confusing to look at. Maybe if I just flip it over like that. Graph using the x and y-intercepts. Remember, this is when you plug in 0 for x and 0 for y. You can do a table or the cover-up method. So it looks like this. If you use a table, it's there, I guess. But if x is 0, you can just cover that up and then solve the equation. So divide by -4 to get y equals -3. And then if you cover up the y, when you plug in 0, you divide by 3 and get x is equal to 4. And then that's your line when you connect them. Okay, let's keep talking about lines and talking about writing the equations in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so here are the steps, and these will almost always be the steps when you look at writing an equation of a line. Sometimes you have to add more to it, meaning like this says substitute your slope. Well, sometimes you have to find the slope. But it almost always starts with, and this is worth like writing down and just knowing, is you always want to find slope. Sometimes it is given to you. Sometimes you need to find it from a graph, sometimes by using the slope equation. And then later we'll learn stuff about like using different lines to find parallel slopes and perpendicular slopes. So there's all kinds of things you can do to find slope, but that's important, is you always have to find slope first, or almost always. And then you go through these steps, and we'll do this in this equation. So find the slope. So we know slope is 2 because it's given to us, which is nice. And then it passes through the 0.63. So what's special about this 0.63? 1, it is on the line. And then 2, it is an actual point. So the 6 means something. This means when I plugged in 6, I got 3. Or when x is equal to 6, y is equal to 3. Okay, now why is that useful? Because think about the equation of the line that we're using. We're using y equals mx plus b. And look at all the stuff we know. We know m, we know x, and we know 3. So we know everything except for b. So we can find b. Let's say if y is 3, m is 2, and x is 6. Then you can solve for b. So we get 3 is equal to 12 plus b, and then subtract 12 from both sides to get -9 is equal to b. And so this is the missing piece to our puzzle. And algebra is really kind of just a puzzle, right? So now I can write my equation of a line. I know y is y, m is 2, x is x, and then b we found to be -9. And so now we have an equation where anybody can come up to it and say, well, I want to know what y is when x is 5. So you plug in 5 there and find y. So y stays y, x stays x in every equation. Okay, let's look at another way of doing this, or another situation where we use this. And here we won't, let's see if we can keep that covered for now. And we want to write the equation through these 2 points. Okay, well, what's going on here? So we have 2 points. It might be useful to graph them, although you don't have to, but let's take a look at them so it won't take long to graph. 2 and 3 and 3 and 2, that's easy to get confused, right? So 2 and then 3 is up here, and then over 3 up 2 is here. So we want an equation of this line right here. Now, the nice part about writing an equation or graphing and plotting points is if you do it correctly, it's an easy way to check your work. Now I know the line is negative slope, or the slope of the line is negative, and I can even count this slope, right? It's not too hard to count. But let's find the slope first. So the first step is find the slope. So the slope is 2 minus 3 over 3 minus 2. And you get -1 over 1, which is -1. And that looks like my graph too, so that's good. So slope is -1. Okay, but remember your equation that we want to find is y equals mx plus b. And so now we get to pick 2, 3, or 3, 2. It does not matter which one you pick because they are both on the line. So as long as it's on the line, you can use the point x and y. So I'm going to use the first 1, 2, and 3. If like one were positive, one were negative, or a fraction or whatever, maybe you would choose the easier looking point. So here's 2 and 3. So you plug in 3 for y. You already found m. And you plug in 2 for x. And the reason you're doing this is to find b, to find the y-intercept. And then you can simplify, add 2 to both sides to get 5 is equal to b. And that gives you your equation. Y is y, m is -1, so we'll just write negative, and then x is x, and then b is 5. And that looks like my graph. My y-intercept would be up by 5. My slope is negative. And whoops, I wrote b instead of b is 5. Okay, so take a moment, pause the video, try this next one on your own. And then I already worked this one out to save us a little bit of time. So see if you got this right. When you subtract, find the slope, you subtract and reduce to get -2/5. And then I picked this first point for x and y. Plug those in. And this, it's kind of nice. This fraction reduces, although it might not always happen. But it's just -2. And then when you add to both sides, you get 1. And so there's your equation. Y equals -2/5 x plus 1. Okay, let's try this one. Remember, when you write an equation of the line, what are they asking you to do? Write an equation of a line, find slope first. So I have 2 points. So subtract them. 1 minus -1 over 6 minus 3. So one thing you might notice is that we're finding slope a lot. So that's a good thing to be good at, right? Because if you're struggling with finding slope, every problem is going to be a lot harder. You have to do it on all these. So if you need help with that, reach out and get some extra practice. Okay, so now we know m. Let's choose, so I'm not going to choose the first one. I'm going to choose this guy where x is equal to 6 and y is equal to 1. Just because I got that -1 there. I mean, we could do that, but a lot of times people make mistakes with negative numbers. So if you can, avoid it. So y is 1, m is 2/3, x is 6, and then b is b. We don't know what b is yet. This reduces to 4, 12 over 3, or 3 goes into 6 twice, or use a calculator. And then subtract, so b is -3. And then in your equation, remember y stays y and x stays x. So y is y, m is 2/3, x is x, and b is -3. If you wanted to graph this or check it, you could plug in 6 here and see if you get 1, and plug in 3 here and see if you get -1. Would be a good way to check that work. Okay, this is no different than the other ones. It's just now we are using that function notation. So remember this g of 4 is equal to 9. It means when you plug in 4, you get 9. And when you plug in -4, you get 7. Okay, so let's find our slope. Slope is always the first thing we want to look for. So I'm going to do 7 minus 9. And then -4 minus 4. Be careful with your signs. 7 minus 9 is -2. And then this is -8. So you get 1/4 for your slope. Okay, and then let's use x equals 4 and y is equal to 9. Let's use this first point just to avoid the negative, although either point works. And we don't know what b is, but we know y is 9. Let's write this. So y is 9, m is 1/4, x is 4, and then we're looking for b. These multiply just to 1. Let's put that up here. 9 is equal to 1 plus b, and so 8 is equal to b. Now your equation, remember, y is y. M is, what do we say m was? 1/4. X is x, and then b is 8. You will also see this written as y equals x over 4 plus 8. So that's worth mentioning. Both of these are right. This is more like if you're going to see it typed out, you probably see it that way, like in a textbook or something. Okay, this is your gym membership costs $33 per month after initial membership fee. You paid $228 for after 6 months. Okay, write an equation that gives the total cost as a function of the length of your gym membership in months and find the total cost after 9 months. Okay, so let's write the equation first. So what's our x and what's our y? So our y is our cost, and our x is what it depends on, which is the number of months as a function of the length of your gym membership. So we'll just say months. Okay, so we have this rate, $33 per month. A rate slope is an average rate of change. So that means your cost is changing $33. So M is 33. And we know you paid a total of $228 after 6 months. That gives us a point. So that gives us an x is equal to 6 and a y is equal to 228. So now we have enough to write an equation. We have our y, our x, and our m. So let's do that. 228 is equal to m is 33 times 6 plus b. Let's see, I could probably do that in my head, but I'm going to use a calculator. 228 is equal to 198 plus b. So that's 30 for b when we subtract 198 from both sides. And so that gives us an equation. Let's write it. We'll write it down here. Y equals 33, x stays x, plus b. Now you might use like m and c, and that's okay too for variables. And then find the value of the function when t is equal to 9. Oh, was that given to us? No, it wasn't. So t, that implies x. Or I could use t up here. So y is equal to 33. Oh, I see what I should do. Let's get this value first. 33, and then I wrote b again. plus 30 here. Plus 30. So that's 33 times 9 plus 30, 327. And that is the dollar amount you pay for 9 months. As a function, so I misread that. So as a function, let's use function notation. So t is months, and that means f of t would be 33x plus 30. And then we could write this as f of 9 is equal to 327. Just to practice using that function notation. Okay, good luck with writing these equations, and please reach out if you have any questions.